Well, I guess we'll just wait on Greg.
I just texted him. I said checking in. I need tacos. I need tacos, dang it.
So as far as Nick Casey's organic filtered water, gluten-free, it's got to go.
I feel like I got a lot of lint on me.
Chips too.
And Daisy. Yeah, that's right.
Live story, unavailable.
Unavailable.
Are we really diving into this already? Like, I wasn't going to go there, bud. I was going to hold off like last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Man, I'm preaching good tonight. Come on, white boy.
Guys, well, welcome to the podcast. Greg, Jarrett. Yeah, wow. Thanks for joining us on the pod today.
I almost wore it.
Bro, I feel like we've done this before.
Yeah, a little deja vu here.
You know, all these black shirts. I definitely didn't get the memo here.
Look at this. We got Yahweh, Dad Camp,
Dude, that's awesome.
fighting for my brother's freedom.
And then me.
And then old
JD,
Navy
right.
special over there. Old baby
Dad gear, right?
Yeah, old baby Gap.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely bought that.
Medium.
Maybe.
What'd you say?
Schmedium.
I'm glad you can make it, man.
Hey, I apologize.
No one said okay to the 7:30, did they?
No, well, and then I was busy, doing the softball thing. So it was a good turnout. We had 23 girls there. That's a lot of girls.
For like softball tryouts?
Junior high softball. We're starting it this year for the first time. So
Like the rec?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's running through the MRA. So
Okay.
Yeah, that's big time. And we have like 5 more that just couldn't make it tonight. So that's almost 30 girls.
What's the biggest need right now for the MRA? Because you're a board member, right? Right,
Yeah.
on the MRA?
Yeah.
What's
We call him El Chapo.
El Chapo?
Well, my friends do.
What's the biggest need for the MRA?
Lines in the parking lot.
That is a thing we've talked about, but it's probably number 2. We'll put that number 2. I would say our biggest need right now is we need to fix our lights, which Poet's going to partner with us to help fix those, which is pretty awesome. But we have so the high school uses one of our fields down there for the girls' games.
Yep.
And one of the bays is out. It's bad lighting, so we got to fix that because it looks bad when people come from out of town and can't see. So, other than that, I mean, we're pretty okay.
Like you got coaches, all that stuff worked out?
That usually is one of the last things. Everybody says like this guy, he's like, "Hey man, I'll help, but I don't want to be the head coach."
I'm not even gonna do that.
Well, he's fired last year, so
you got fired last year?
Well, when you kick a kid, you gotta get fired.
Hey, when the head coach is an a-hole,
Who are we talking about?
don't worry about it.
Oh, no names.
I'm not
No names. Right.
No names.
Can't be me.
We're going to bleep that out.
Right. No, our biggest that is a challenge is we get a lot of guys that are like, "Yeah, I'll help, but I don't want to be the head coach." We're like, "Well, okay, you're helping, so you're the head coach now." Sorry.
Oh, wow. Okay. Do you guys take sponsors?
Yeah, we do. Cop Manure Management. Thank you for your sponsorship. I appreciate it.
Walnut Street Podcast. Thanks you for your recent donation, too. Thank you. Thanks, Nick. This is Nick Kopke, guys.
Everybody knows Nick. Ooh, we're going to have a pin in the shirt day, huh? Okay.
It's getting serious.
It is.
Are you like one of those crazy sports dads?
Yes.
You said that kind of fast.
It's because you are.
We knew we were going to ask it, right?
We have to plan our vacations around Greg's softball
Do we want to
schedule.
go there now in God's house? Do you want to do that?
Don't choose violence.
Do you want to talk about that?
Well, I'll talk about anything.
No, we're not going there. That was a horrible misunderstanding.
You open that door, buddy. We're going.
Oh, man.
Where are we going?
It was your schedule.
It was your
No,
schedule.
it wasn't.
Yes,
We're not
it
even
was.
going.
All right.
We're not even doing
All right, we
anything.
better move this
you were,
ahead.
hey, but
There's going to be
you were.
fisticuffs.
No, we just talked about
I
it.
Put up
said-
your dukes.
I
Welcome
said-
to Walnut Street Podcast, guys. Let's go.
Put up your dukes.
I thought the houseboat was booked.
No, we opened
I
this.
thought it was booked.
I don't like it when mom and dad fight. It makes me uncomfortable when
Yeah.
these two alpha gorillas go
So obviously
after.
there's something like
These
we need to talk
Razorbacks,
about, but
Silverbacks.
maybe that's a different
Yeah.
Get it out
podcast.
there.
We need to get into some prayer circles on that
We-
because there needs to be some
There's
forgiveness.
not nearly enough people
Right.
here for that.
All of us have like kids that are in sports, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're like the crazy one.
Yeah, all 3 of mine, and I usually end up coaching a couple of them and things.
Not
like that.
crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, there's times when it feels pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh, no, he
we
set that
question
bar
our
pretty
sanity
high.
of why we do this, but it's my kids, so If somebody's going to screw him up coaching, it might as well be me.
It's a great way to put it.
Right. If somebody's going to yell at him, it might as well be me.
That's right. Don't yell at my kids. Only I can yell at my kids.
No, I enjoy it.
No, I enjoy yelling at Blake too.
Yeah. He's easy to yell at, that's for sure.
No, but like, so you have daughters. I mean, we all have daughters that are in sports. So I coached my daughter.
Coach junior high,
playing basketball, and she didn't like it. She wasn't a huge fan of me being her coach, which was hard to hear too, just because she felt like I was harder on her than everybody else, which may have been true. I didn't feel like it as a coach, but I heard that a lot from her. And now that she doesn't have me as a coach, that's why I didn't.
Now she's like averaging 25 points a game and
like,
10 rebounds.
Like, let's go. Like, so basically, I suck as a coach, suck as a dad.
Right.
You've been holding me back.
Dad's been holding her back for the past 14 years of her life. So
I've admitted to my daughter that I intentionally am overly hard on her because the last thing I will have is somebody say that they're playing daddy ball and that she's only playing this position or hitting here because she's dad. She's going to earn everything and she's going to get the worst of it. And I've had forgiveness talks with her and had to ask her for forgiveness, but she's persevered.
You will again.
Facts.
Yeah.
Haven't had to do it with Blake yet, but.
Well, guys, welcome to the podcast.
Are we recording?
Like, yeah, let's
start?
Screw the introduction. Like, we're already getting into heavy topics here. I think it's great that all four of us can get together and just the bros, the dudes, the friends, the dads, the husbands, get together and share on a journey that you guys recently went on, and we'll get to that. And I just want to say thanks for joining. Thanks for being on the podcast today.
I had an intro like all queued up.
Well, that's cute. You say that for next time. But also,
next time already.
Just so you know, we have a legend in the room today. I don't know if you know this or not, but in the room today is Seth Brubaker.
That's right.
And if our cameras can pan to Seth Brubaker over there.
They would.
No, I'm kidding. It's okay. Seth is in the audience. For those who don't know, Seth was on the podcast who shared on the episode. The title of the episode is Vodka Every Day. It's the most viewed episode of the podcast. And it was, I believe, Seth, it was your first time sharing that story. And he did an amazing. It was just amazing.
He carried the show, is what you're saying?
Bro, it was almost like heaven came down and it was absolutely beautiful.
Don't even know what happened.
We don't, man. We don't. And you'll ask him too. He's one of the most humble guys I've ever met in my life. But man, you talk about yet by the grace of God go I. That's his story right there, man. It's just beautiful. So Seth, thanks for being here, man. It's really great. Go ahead.
We served on Kairos with a guy named Zach, and I was telling him about Seth, and he's like, I loaded him in the back of my fire truck or an ambulance quite a few times.
Yeah.
No kidding.
A lot of people know him probably for different ways, but I would say Seth is a totally different human being because of Jesus Christ. It's powerful. Like, it's so awesome just to have him here. And of course, my best friend Andy's in the room too. Yeah,
we'll pray for you too, buddy.
Co-host that never hosts. And then of course, Timmy, thanks for being behind the cameras today, bro. Appreciate you, man. Love you, dude. But man, really, thanks for being on the podcast. Anybody seen the show? You've seen some episodes. Have you seen all of them? Not. I mean, we ask this every time.
Yeah.
Are you a frequent flyer or hit and miss?
Can't say all of them because it distracts me. I'm like, I can't multitask. So
no, I get it.
I don't get to sit in a tractor and.
No, I totally get it. I get it. Boy.
Hey, I would be probably a lot more free. I tried to watch them all in order.
Yeah.
And I'm a couple behind right now, but man, if we get it on Spotify. That's got to be the goal.
YouTube makes it harder.
If you got
to
a
watch.
sponsor, that would be
awesome. So let's real quick logistically, like it's not cheap to do all of this. Right. So to get, especially how long our episodes are, so like we'd have to buy. It's just crazy. It's kind of expensive. Yeah. So we're working on that slowly but surely. We're using YouTube the best of our ability. We'll get it on Spotify. We'll get it on Apple Music. I had one episode on Apple Music, but it gets kind of costly to do it the right way. Yeah. So we're working on that. We do need sponsors.
We do.
Speaking of sponsors, it's time to open up the mystery can today. In front of you, gentlemen, you'll see 4 mystery cans. Now, I know it is currently 8:00 on a Saturday night. All of us are almost over 40 years old. So choose wisely and drink responsibly.
I want the blue one.
I was looking at the red one myself.
So I will say this: I did a terrible job. I'm not an arts and craft kind of person. You can kind of see what they are, but
it kind of says mystery on the side. I'm not sure.
I don't know what's going on here.
Maybe misery.
Pick your poison.
It's definitely a ghost.
Really, you're gonna give me the last? You're gonna give me this?
Ooh, at least these
So-
are cold. These are cold.
Obviously, you can't look at it. Try not to look at it too much. I already know which one I got, but we're gonna open these up together. Put them up to our mics on the. Actually, you know what? Count us down there, audience.
3.
Good answer. Good answer.
And 3.
2, 1.
Oh,
Of course you did.
guys, thanks for being on the podcast.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, let's see here. I can smell it. I already know what I got. You got to guess.
Yeah.
Guess what it is.
That's really good. Whatever that one is.
This is creamsicle.
Mango dango.
I
or
got
something.
the red guy. I think I'm pretty
This
sure.
is creamsicle. You can just pull it up like a sleeve.
I got
I got cherry lemonade.
Can I try
cherry,
yours?
cherry limeade.
Yeah.
I don't know what I got.
Just pull the sleeve right off of it. Yep.
Ooh,
It's
yeah.
like a koozie.
Oh, nice.
You got the straw bango, bro.
Oh, I was way
got
off.
face pop.
I was way off. Nice.
Oh shoot. So you got straw bango,
Face pop.
face pop, and you got what'd you get?
You go
Cherry limeade. Okay, so sponsorship. We're always looking for sponsors. We need microphones, cameras. We need Spotify space.
Orange cream.
Orange cream. Yep. So Ghost, do us a favor. If you're watching the podcast today, get in the comments, tag Ghost in them. If you're on social media, tag them. Get Ghost to sponsor this podcast. How
Just
amazing would that
spam
be?
it.
Spam the fire out of it.
If there was a flavor called Holy Ghost, what would it taste like?
Fire. No, I don't know. Ashes. I don't know. I don't know. What would it taste like?
It would just be amazing.
Should we
whatever.
just come up with our own energy drink? No?
Yeah, I don't know why we wouldn't.
We'll call it Walnut Street Holy Ghost, whatever. I don't know. Anyways. So guys, let's go ahead and people don't know who you are. Introduce yourself.
I'm JD Grimes.
Cool. What's up, JD?
What's up?
You a married man? Tell us a little bit about your family real quick.
Married 18 years, 16 years.
Bless her soul.
Lovely wife, Ashley.
How did you get that wrong? You're in trouble.
I am in trouble.
We'll bleep that out. Don't worry.
At least you went over and not under.
Right, yeah.
Or does it feel longer?
Ooh.
Ooh,
Don't answer that. Please don't answer
that was a
Don't
big
answer
question.
that. That's it.
3 beautiful kids. I got an almost 13-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
I got a 10-year-old son and a 6-year-old son. And everybody's playing basketball right now, and it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, today was kind of a special day. You might as well share on a little bit. You're glowing over there.
No.
You're glowing. What happened
it's all
today?
about him.
7th grade girls just brought home the Tip Valley Tournament Championship. So, go girls.
That's right. They're a great squad too. Seventh graders are good. They've been playing ball together for a minute, so it'd be interesting to see what they do in high school and stuff. That's good. Well, thanks for being on the show, man.
Yeah.
Greg Jarrett, been married for, do the math real fast, almost 19 years. 19 years this fall. Got 3 kids, an 8th grader who's 13, daughter, scares the living daylights out of me.
Yeah.
My 10-year-old son who's a 4th grader with his son. And then Best friends, yeah. And then my youngest is a 2nd grader, 8-year-old, and she's best friends with his daughter.
She's at my house
She's
right
at
now.
your house right now. I got the text and said, hey, Dad, I'm going to the Copkies. Party
That's cool.
time. Yeah.
Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Those you don't know, they should know though, because
Everybody knows.
he's like, what did we say your title was here on the show?
He's a councilman, so everybody knows him.
Associate.
Associate, second line,
Producer / host.
yeah,
Third shift.
Out of 2. Third shift out of 2.
So I am Nick Kopke. I am Nick Kopke. I know it may not seem like it, but I am here with some of my best friends in the world.
Really?
It doesn't.
This is the first time hearing this.
I said some.
Shoot.
Oh, this is getting awkward.
I am the husband of Holly and the dad of Emerson and Ellie, 13 and 9. We've been married 14 years. Like he said, I do frequent here often. This isn't my first time here, and it's definitely not my last.
Thank you.
You guys really don't know what to do with me. I am the host of a new segment called The Blitz.
Oh yeah, it's pretty exciting.
That was the first time we did that was with Corey, and the only time. I'm really looking forward to doing that again. We'll see.
First and the last.
Man, I love this podcast. I believe in this podcast and podcasts alike. You know, I like you said earlier, Seth getting his story out there, encouraging people, giving God the glory.
Which it's a shameless plug. I don't mean to interrupt, but this week, I don't know who they are, but on YouTube, got in the comments this week and said, this is one of the best podcasts out there.
Ooh. Wow, that's big time.
I'm like, I don't know who you are. God bless you. Kind person.
Right. Nice.
So yeah, sorry.
That's it. That's all I got, man.
That's all you got.
I believe in it.
Well, we know you do, and I appreciate you, bro. All you gentlemen, appreciate the relationship that we've been building. You know, we've been here about 5 years, so to have this type of brotherhood, because you know there ain't no hood like
Brotherhood.
You and Don have been here 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
My
I
whole
thought that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, my family and I. Who? Okay, let's do it. All right. I've been married almost 20 years. Been married 20 years this year.
Congratulations.
Have a soon-to-be 17-year-old son and 15-year-old daughter. Already talking about driver's training for my daughter. That scares the living crap out of me. It's hard to believe how quickly this is stinking going. You know, gosh, man. It's crazy. They said, the old timers, they told me, they look me in the eyeball now. You say, you look here, it's going to fly by. Right. Make sure you enjoy it. And sure enough, dadgummit, it's coming and it's going quick. It's quick, man. And so appreciate the friendships though, guys. But hey, why are we here today? Why are we here today? There was something that happened over the past week in an amazing experience, so I hear, and I don't want to take away from the story, but I want you to share about an experience that that happened this week. First of all, tell us where you went and why. Tell us where you went. Whoever wants to go, I don't care. Nick, go ahead.
Nope, Greg.
Oh, Greg, go.
Nope, JD.
Okay, JD.
So we spent 72 hours in Miami County Correctional
Prison. Maximum security.
And maximum security, level 4.
Are there what's that levels mean? Do you guys know?
Level 1 is like
1, 2s are
like you stole money from Walmart or something like that. Like check fraud.
Still kind of a big deal.
Right. For sure. Don't do that. But okay. But yeah. But level 4 is like you probably killed somebody. Yeah. You're in there for like, what was it? What the longest time we heard?
150.
150 years.
150 years.
Oh,
yeah.
Snap.
Yeah.
That's hard to believe that's literally right down there, like 25 minutes away, right? 30 minutes?
45 minutes away, yeah.
That's crazy. But yeah, Miami Correctional Facility.
Right. So our intentions were to basically go in there, 40-ish volunteers, hosting 40-ish guests, and essentially just love on them for 72 hours, listen to them, be their servant, let them know that that they don't have to go through their time alone spiritually, and it was probably one of the most humbling things I think the three of us have ever done, for sure.
Yeah.
So, but there's a lot more to it. I'm sure we'll get into it.
Yeah. That's definitely a 25,000 foot view there.
So to set that, this was you guys' first time going in.
Correct. I was a rookie.
I've been in a few times and pre-COVID. So this is the first time we got to go back since COVID, since 2020.
Yeah, it's been 4 years.
Been 4 years.
Actually, it'd be 4.5 years.
Yeah, because we went in the fall of 19.
So they were really happy to see you.
Right.
And just to note on that too, what was interesting perspective for me was prior to COVID, it was a level 2, and then we waited 4 years, and when it was a level 2, like they could just walk around essentially almost wherever they wanted without being escorted.
Right.
And in 4 years, by the time we got to go back, it's gone all the way up. Now for other reasons, but it kind of stacks the odds against you a little bit right out of the gate to get back in there.
Well, who makes that call? I wonder, from going to level 2 to level 4 or 5.
I imagine that's a lot of state decisions.
Federal, something.
Yeah. It's Indiana State Prison, so it's regulated.
And I think some of it's due to staffing.
Probably Holcomb.
Because they had some staffing. They were like everywhere else, staffing was low. So I imagine they have to have, if they're going to only have so many people, then they have to be able to.
Makes sense.
So.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think the main point, like JD said, is just to go in there and let them know that they're not forgotten people. They're in there, obviously, worlds. We're here, they're there, completely different worlds, but they're still people too. I mean, it's in Matthew. That's one of the big things, the verse in Matthew, like, I was in prison and you visited me. And so that's basically what we're doing, is just going in there and just lending an ear and just being there, just listening to them. And
sounding board.
Yeah. And just
Matthew 28 is what you're referencing.
Yeah, I was going to say 28, but I didn't want to be wrong. So Matthew.
Matthew.
That's on the very basic part of it is just go in there and just show these guys Jesus, basically.
That's good.
So yeah, it's
That's
good
cool.
Yeah.
Now I do know I haven't really got to talk to you guys like personally one-on-one, but I have had a few moments with Nick, talked to him privately about his experience, and I know like for him it it hit a place. So I want him to kind of share his experience because it impacted you. It messed, and I don't want to say it messed you up. It messed you up in a good way. You know what I'm saying? Like we're out here at 5 o'clock in the morning, just got on the run. He's bawling in the parking lot, sharing about his story. I just think it's absolutely remarkable the impact that this had on this guy right here. So Nick, take the floor, man. Share some of that story.
Well, specifically, what Tyler is talking about, a lot of the Kairos ministry revolves around forgiveness, and there is. So we start on Thursday. It's kind of an icebreaker, and we spend all day Friday listening to talks and just having fellowship. And then first thing Saturday morning, we kind of change gears, and they want you to start thinking about people that you need to forgive, or people that need to forgive you mainly, right? So you've got 12 hours to kind of chew this up. And I'm writing names down. You know, we do the same things the guests do. So I'm writing names down, and I'm chewing that up. And the night before I was at home, I did like the number one rule that Kairos tells you not to do.
You broke that rule.
I broke that rule because that's what I do.
Night one.
Right. We say
4 hours in, and
we're
right.
I looked up a couple guests, which were the inmates. We call the inmates guests. So I looked up a couple guests at my table, and if you just Google a name and you have an arrest record, it's all there. I mean, and
It's public knowledge,
the
right?
police report, like it's very,
You don't have to look far.
very detailed. So I made the mistake, which I thought was a mistake, Friday night. And so I'm really kind of chewing this up, and I know what's coming on Saturday. This forgiveness thing is coming. So, you know, I write these guests' name on my paper, and you know, these guys have done unspeakable things. We'll just spare details, but it's bad. Just real bad. Okay. So I'm just chewing up this forgiveness thing. And, you know, Monday morning I was talking to you about that. And, you know, I wrote the name on the paper and gave it to God, and ultimately ended up washing this guy's hands, which is kind of the Kairos version of feet washing.
Sure.
You know, these guys are prisoners, so there's boundary lines. So to wash this guy's hands and to be sincere about it.
Were you?
Yeah, I was. I really had a real peace about me Saturday night going into Sunday. I really did. Just a real supernatural peace. And that was cool. And that it kind of comes and goes, and I'm sure we're going to keep talking about this. But to go through that process, and then write the big thing for these guys was to write their names on that paper, to forgive themselves, and me too. And I'm sure you guys.
Yes, I wrote your name
Right.
down.
I know you wrote my name. I'm
right.
sure you wrote your own
Right.
too. Like we've done things, and that was the last name I wrote on top. And
No, I think I was the same way. It was the last name I wrote. It was like, man,
I remember
that was the hardest.
looking across the room to one of my guests, Tony, and he is a mess because he finally figured out I got to forgive myself. You know, to if I want to walk this walk and talk this talk and do this Jesus thing, like this is just something we got to do. This is part of the healing process. So,
And just real quick, do you think like the reason that whole like that the part to forgive ourselves is so difficult is because our culture is like counterintuitive? Like our culture says we don't forgive those who trespass against us.
Right.
Like, is that why it's so hard for us to write our own name last or first? I mean, like, is that why our name always forgiving ourselves is so difficult, because our culture says like you have to be punished for what you do, and when you do it, you're you're a horrible person.
There's a lot of shame there.
Yeah, I
Sure.
think that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, shame.
Yeah, I would agree.
I was just curious. Okay. So this whole like forgiveness ceremony you're talking about, it was Friday night?
Saturday.
Or Saturday.
Saturday night.
Saturday night.
It's one of the last things we did.
Okay, gotcha. It sounds really amazing though.
Yeah, it's important that we put our names on the list too. I mean, that's one thing that, as we're gearing up, Saturday afternoon, going into that last, talk with the forgiveness to follow it is, make sure you put your name on it, because forgiving yourself is step one. And these guys have been told their whole lives that they're nobodies.
Yeah.
They're, a lot of them didn't have a chance from the get-go. They grew up. I mean, one of the guys at my table was talking about that, like, his mother was in a certain kind of bad spot, and so he would follow her around and be like, hey, I'm trying to help you out, make money, so you don't have to do this.
Yeah.
So then he gets into drugs and things like that, and it's just what they know. Mm-hmm. And there's another guy that was sitting at my table who's like, I'm in a gang here just because I was in a gang on the outside, and that's all I know.
That's all I know.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm getting out in November, and I'm afraid to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know any other life but prison life. He'd been in there since he was like 18, and he's now 30, 35 or something like that. So they feel like they're lost, and they've got a lot of challenges and things like that. But they've got to forgive themselves first, and then work on the next person and things like that.
Sure. Let's keep going, Nick. Because let's back up a little bit. That was Saturday. So you guys, I assume, had some sort of like training. They don't just like throw you in there, right? I mean, I'm assuming they educate you a little bit on some of the slang, what to do, what not to do, what to expect, what not to expect. Can we like kind of brief us on that, what that looked like for you?
Yeah. So leading up, we did have about 35 or 40 hours of training on Saturdays. Took
5 Saturdays.
5 Saturdays leading up to it, and it was that could be a bit much, but a lot of it was really important. It was important to get the actual, like, when you're in prison training, like, kind of stuff. But it was really important to get to know the men you're serving with, because from the minute that I committed to this, I did not want to. I was not afraid of I wasn't afraid of physical harm or anything like that. I'd given all that to God right out of the gate. I was more afraid of putting in all the work and then like something happens and a knucklehead, causes us to not be able to go in on the weekend. And that was what I wouldn't say afraid of it, but that was what I was most concerned about.
Sure.
But then looking back, like I spent 40 hours with some of the raddest dudes, some of the most Christ-driven guys that I've ever met, and the fact that we didn't and we were able to do the weekend, just more or less the cherry on top. So
it's like a classroom setting. Where do you guys meet to do this?
Yeah, like at a church in Walton.
Walton Church Fellowship Hall has a hardwood basketball floor too.
Dang.
That's what he was checking it out. That was the first thing he noticed when he walked in.
Of course it is. Walton, we're in the
He was
world.
like, I can hit some shots in here.
Where's Walton
Just east, just
Cass.
west of
Cass
Grissom Air
area.
Force
at? Okay,
Base.
about Lewis Cass area.
Yeah,
Is that where it's
same town. Same
Okay,
town.
okay, gotcha. So a church out there.
Right.
What's the
Yeah,
what was
it's
the
hard.
what was the ministry called? You guys? That this
Kairos.
Prison ministry.
and share what that means.
So Kairos is basically, so there's two types of time in the world. There's a Chronos time, which is, it's February 3rd, it's 8:20 and that kind of thing. That's a specific point in time that everybody, it's going to be 8:20 to you, 8:20 to me, February 3rd and things like that. And then there's Kairos time, which is more of a spiritual moment in time when it's not going to be the same, because it's going to be a different spiritual relationship for you, a different meaning for me and for JD and things like that. So this is Kairos, and that's basically what it means. Is it's God's time. That's what Kairos means.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Cool. So if 40 hours of training, what was it? Was that training what you expected it to be? I mean, I know, Greg, you've done it. You're a veteran in this group. Like, was it difficult, boring? Did they hit on things you wish they didn't hit on that you wish they would have? Like, what was your expectations there?
It was.
Be honest.
No, I mean, there was some times I to be honest, where I thought it was a little slower, and then because keep my attention, it's got to kind of get weird. We got to do stuff that makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So we did a prayer circle with 40 guys. That was pretty awesome.
Explain what that was.
So we would have guys behind you, and then basically you end up praying over everybody, and everybody ends up praying over you. So that was pretty moving, man. That was a pretty neat experience.
I'd love to see do they take pictures? They're probably not. Right?
No, there's a very big emphasis on team building. Now we could probably do it in 15 hours, 10 hours, but
it wouldn't be the same.
But I mean, there's a lot of slow time. There, we could sing less songs.
You guys sing too.
A lot of get to know you.
Yeah. Right. So, but it's like any other spiritual weekend that there is out there that we've done. Brethren Way, Emmaus, the Great Banquet. It's always the same. Like 5 Saturdays, could be 2 or less.
Could be an email.
Could be an email. But
some of it, yeah.
Team building. So knowing you're going to go in the prison with these guys, you go in there your first day with a connection, and. I helped feed a group of folks today that I've served with on many different Brethren Way of Christ occasions. And I didn't know most of their names, but I know their faces and I know a lot. I know their stories.
Yeah.
I forgot, I'll never forget your story, but I will forget your name.
Sure.
Sure. When there's a lot of talks given at Kairos and some other weekends. And man, somebody stands in front of a crowd and gives you a testimony and has some emotion to go along with it. It's hard to forget that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the educational part, 40 hours of training. Some of it could have been an email. I'm kidding by that, by the way, because I think obviously what they're trying to do is establish the team building, get to know one another before you actually go in boots on the ground. You have to know who you're serving with. I think that's really important. But so when you guys get there Friday, Thursday, what did that look like? What was that experience? I want to know like smell, sights. I want to know.
I'll start.
So he was really nervous going in.
I was revved up Thursday.
And rightfully so, right?
I mean, well, for sure.
So I'm nervous. It's new. I don't know what we're getting into. And the thoughts just start going.
Like what thoughts?
Man, I'm gonna take a pin to the neck. I'll be honest.
That's how Nick Coffey's gonna die.
all the bad thoughts. Say what you want. Spiritual attack. It is whatever. But
100%.
That's just the way I am. And as soon as I get there, I'm like, pfft. I mean, there's women everywhere. There's just as many women that work there as men, and all the guys were respectful, and I never once felt in danger. But Thursday we get there we meet with the guests about 4:00, and we're partnered.
Where'd you meet them at though?
With one person in the chapel, right?
Yeah. They come
to us.
Yeah, they come to us. So 35-ish guys.
So we spend 4 to 7 with one person. On Thursday.
Okay.
And then that's it. And then we always end every evening with a team meeting. How's it going? Problems, concerns.
Was there any problems?
None reported.
Not really. I mean, those meetings
There's
are pretty
some close
short.
calls.
Close calls? Can we
sure.
talk about it? No, is it hush hush?
The only problems were some of the guys. We don't force anybody. Yeah, there's some team problems for sure. He can talk to that.
Of course. I mean, you got 40 different people, 40 different personalities. You're gonna have problems.
And some age difference. Some people have done it a bunch of times, so they feel a certain comfortableness and feel like they kind of know how it's going to go and kind of try to run the show a little bit more than probably what they
stay in your lane, bro.
Right. And then some people don't help as much as they should. Kind of wandering around and that kind of thing. But yeah, the first few hours is just one-on-one time with this person, a hardened criminal that what are we going to
Hold on, you said one-on-one?
Yeah. You just sit there just like this for probably an hour. 45 minutes.
I'm laughing because I'm seeing Nick. I don't know why it's funny.
That was Nick's biggest fear going into this.
So
that's exactly what are we going to talk about?
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Right.
They told me not to talk about certain things, and Nick, Nick's just like
the first word out of his mouth.
So what'd you do?
Right.
Well, what'd you do?
Right. That's exactly right. And then don't Google your guy. Right. What did he do? Google his guy.
Thursday night for me was great. I had this guy Anthony call him Tony. And he was great to talk to.
This is an alias too, by the way.
And then so Friday we switch gears and we sit with our table, and I'm between Taiwan and Trayshawn, and let me tell you, I stuck out like a sore thumb.
I'm sure.
You know what I'm saying?
You're the whitest guy in the hood, bro. Okay,
he
I
was
get it.
clear. We were in the chapel
Like
on the
more than
Saturday.
normally stuck out.
On Sunday rather, right before the cross ceremony, and you were sitting in between them, and it was 3, you and then another one, and then like a big row of chairs. I was like, someone doesn't fit in here.
They were super cool dudes. I remember early on Friday morning, like there was a lot of cool dudes in here, like for real. And I say that sincerely.
So when you guys are traveling, because you don't actually stay, I thought you guys stayed there for some reason. Like there were some barracks
Well, it's
there.
only half full. There's no reason we shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean,
probably good.
Something that's closed
Right.
off to public. I get it, but I
Right.
was like, okay, they stay there. But no, you actually drove home every night. What was like the drive home? What was going through the head, man?
It was actually a pretty good time for us to kind of unpack, decompress,
For sure.
get together,
Complain,
Yeah.
praise.
Yeah. Punch the back of a seat or something, no, most of it was like, it was pretty good. It was really good. And it was cool to be able to kind of see things from my perspective, which was a little different than theirs. But you see, and they all will agree too. You see a lot of walls early.
Sure.
And I mean, they're high, they're sky high, and you're not getting in there. And then, as the weekend goes on, you see some chips. You start seeing some bricks come out of that wall. And then by Sunday, I mean,
Tears.
there's dudes just melting.
Tears.
And
team members.
and team members.
And
Ain't
team.
no lie about that. There wasn't a dry eye in that room for sure. But it's just it's all the glory to God that we were able to witness. These walls come down. It was amazing. It was amazing in 72 hours. It was cool.
Yeah, I think it really is, and that's why we do it. We don't know what's going to happen after we leave. We don't know Sunday evening what's going to happen and that kind of thing. But it's not for us to know that kind of thing. We just have to go in there and, like I said, show Jesus and then pray about him. But it's amazing how just a little bit of love, a little bit of attention to these guys who feel so lost and things like that goes leaps and bounds and things like that. I mean, we've got different things like agape things that we give them. Sure. That we all write. Can I tell them about the letters?
Sure.
I mean, is that giving too much away? So
what's with the question?
Well, I didn't want anybody.
Well, we don't have secrets, but
right.
We don't want to give it
We
all
don't
away.
want to ruin the weekend.
Like if
for
Andy goes to
people-
prison,
right.
I want him to be a surprise for him.
Yeah, I don't understand that whole. That's so weird to me. But anyways,
I know.
Go ahead, man.
It's-
You can say it.
So we write a letter to each of the prisoners, and it's a piece of agape they put in a bag. So they're getting each prisoner is getting 35 to 40 letters that just says, "Hey, man, God loves you. Thanks for coming. Just because you did this in the past, that doesn't define your future." Those kinds of things. Maybe a little scripture and that kind of thing, and just to see guys who literally said they have never talked to a family member, in like 5 years since they've been in prison. Their family has just kind of disowned them.
Sure.
And they get these letters that say that, they're loved. They're reading these and they're like,
They're hungry
they're
for
just
love.
crying.
They're hungry for
reading
it.
a letter, that took us maybe 5 minutes to write and things like that. Maybe like 3 sentences, and they're just bawling over a letter.
So about that a little bit, again, a little different perspective. The chapel was laid out in kind of like a bigger room with partition walls. And on one side, they just had these like, what were they? Just like
File
cabinets and stuff
right,
that they
file
kind of stacked up. So there's like a decent gap above it. And so like, if you're talking over there, we can, you could hear plain as day. Well, the team was over there singing worship songs while the guests were unpacking these bags with these letters in them.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, like I'm on my way over there, but I'm wrapping up some, I don't know, some service stuff, whatever I was doing, food, drinks, or whatever. But I was able to watch these guys read these letters. I mean, they were buried in these letters. And at the same time, like you hear these men over here singing these songs, like these guys were just I mean, it was moving.
Yeah.
It was really moving to kind of be able to see that. And I mean, they were just buried in these leathers.
There's like one thing about isolation. We often talk about it in the church circle. Like isolation is the device of the enemy. If he can get you soloed off,
Yeah,
he wins.
then he can pick you off.
Absolutely.
So seeing, of course, these individuals, these people who have done terrible crimes. We can't negate the fact, right? They've done something terrible for them to be in level 4, level 5, and the isolation that they have to receive just some sort of love. Like they're obviously they're craving it, but it's just like even we're on the outside. How many people are isolated on the outside who just need the love? But it's a device of the enemy to just silo you off, pick you off, get you by yourself, and then that's when he really attacks. So I'm like, man, it's just so true. I see isolation there. I see isolation over here.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. There's definitely a lot of people living in like just that prisoner life, not in prison.
Yeah.
I mean, just a dark place, you know, and it really, Kairos is like, it puts things to perspective, but it also reminds us like, you know, this ministry isn't solely just for prison. I mean, I mean, it's every day.
Sure.
It's everyday stuff. I mean, wherever it is you work, I mean, there's people who are living shackled spiritually everywhere. And that's who we're, excuse me, that's who we're trying to reach reach those hard to reach ones.
So like looking at the justice system and the way that people are incarcerated. Do you I'm going to just ask your opinion. Do you believe like that is the best way to do this? As Christians,
It's
just curious. I don't know. I'm just asking.
no, I mean, it's a fair question. I mean, I would say yes. I mean, what's the alternative?
I don't know. I have no
right.
idea.
I mean, I'm not for like, caning them or anything like that. You know, I mean,
You're what?
Caning them.
Caning them. Oh, I got
Stoning them.
I was like, you said like canning them.
Yeah.
Canning.
No. I mean, we go there with the idea like, this is, based off the state, this is where they've deemed you to belong for X amount of time. And it's not my job to argue any of that. I'm just there to share love, share Christ's love. That's all we're there to do. And, but on a personal level, I mean, I definitely see it as being kind of a necessary part of our judicial system. Sure.
That's the thing that's so amazing. Like going in there, I mean, that's probably why you Googled it, because you Googled the guy, because he probably didn't look like what you would imagine a hardened criminal, didn't talk like something,
nice.
right. Just a chill guy. I mean, you got guys in there that look just as normal as us and things like that. I mean, you've got a few with some things that obviously are a little bit more stereotypical, but for some, you're like, how's this guy in here?
right,
What
sure.
did this guy do?
Yeah.
And so it's like your curiosity gets itched and things like that, or gets going. So, but again, they're not alone and things like that. It's just us trying to reaffirm that. And it's hard, just like what you were saying. I mean, even on the outside, people feel alone. And that's, how many examples in the Bible does it talk about, an isolated Christian is paralyzed Christian, right. Or, 3 cords, are stronger than none, or, we're 2 or more together. Keep going down the list of different examples of we are not meant to do this alone. And just reminding them that just because they're in there, there's 1,300 inmates in there. And there's just some of them that are Christ believers in there.
Sure.
Find those guys. You don't have to be alone and do this. I think a lot of them are just scared to say, because of the repercussions. They say all the time, it's just nice to have guys come in here, take time off out of their busy lives, or to volunteer to come in here without having to worry about an angle being played on them or somebody running a game on them or something like that. So, yeah, that's. I mean, again, on the inside, same thing on the outside. How many people feel alone and that kind of stuff. But that's the challenge, is letting them drive that point home.
Yeah. So like the whole experience, we've kind of dabbled into the why. I mean, Greg, you've done it now for several years. Like, why are you still part of it? Because it sounds like
That's
you've shared there are people who have been doing it even probably longer than yourself.
Yeah.
That probably aren't having the best attitude with it, maybe,
Right.
or the right motives. I don't know. I'm just gauging what you said there. So, like, how do you maintain this level of ministry with a pure heart?
Yeah, it's hard. So selfishly, I don't want to bogart the conversation, but I definitely I was going to take a break in the spring of 2020. I did the fall of 2019. I was going to take one time off because I felt like my heart, I was just going through the motions and things like that. But my why is pretty easy, and it's these guys and the guys on the team. Just being around like-minded Christians and men and hearing their testimonies. I mean, we're listening to pastors talk about their infidelity or their drug habit that they used to have or their alcoholism and things like that. And that just is a reaffirming thing to me that my screw ups, there's people out there that are still Christ followers that still screwed up things as well. And I'm not alone, you know, we're in this together, and that doesn't define them, doesn't define me, doesn't define the prisoners and that kind of thing. So that's my why, is the fellowship, the car rides home and the car rides there, and the team bonding. I know it can get monotonous at times, but when we're doing a prayer and share together, just me and another guy, and we're just talking about our struggles and what we need to pray about. I mean, that's what I need. I need to see examples and be around examples, and that's why I do it.
100%.
Yeah.
Rookies?
Right. So so the church that we worship at, they've been offering Kairos as a ministry for
2015-ish.
Yeah, 10-ish years.
Because y'all go to the same church, right?
Yeah. St. Paul's County Line. Shout
Represent.
out.
Hold on. What was it? Shameless plug?
Shout out St. Paul's County Line.
St. Paul's County Line.
Yeah.
Worship service, 10 o'clock.
Gotcha.
Okay. If you're not busy. If you don't have anything else going on.
10:30.
But for as long as I've been attending that church, they've been offering this Kairos program, and I don't know, I'm not embarrassed by it at all. I wasn't ready, you know, for years in there. I wasn't committed to it. And then I remember the spring of 20 when they shut it down. I remember saying that this fall, I'm going this fall. I'm going this fall. Well, 4 years later, and once I got the word, I was ready. And it's definitely something you're called to do for sure.
Would you agree that we're all called to it?
Absolutely.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
I would, maybe not this ministry, but a ministry. We all have places that we can minister. So yeah, I would say that.
But it finally, like, it hit me right in the heart to just take that first step, take that leap, and I couldn't be more glad that I did it. So
just to level set, our church isn't the only church that does
absolutely
it.
not.
I mean, we have
we are the church. Everybody.
We have 6 or 7 guys from our church that went in, but there's 40 guys there. So there's people from Fort Wayne, from Logansport, from Kokomo, from Indy on this team and things like that. So I just didn't want to make it seem like those are our church is the only church.
St. Paul's County Line, right? Church. That doesn't. That's it.
Walnut Street this fall.
Well, there
the
you go.
one and only.
Let's
go. Which, Andy, we got to talk about this, by the way. We'll talk about it. Go ahead. What was your why, man?
Yeah. So why?
Because have you been asked before to do this, or is this the first time?
No. Greg and nobody outright asked me. And you know, Greg has served, and I've done other things, and JD was probably the deciding factor for me. It's like, well, I'll go if you go, bro. Because if I wasn't going to the prison, I was probably going to go up to Epworth with, you know, my buddy Josh is rector on another spiritual weekend coming up soon. So I would have been doing something more than likely, but it's like, all right, Greg's going. If JD's in, I'm definitely in. You know, you get that knucklehead down there, you know, pound.
I don't know what to do.
So why, right, man? This has actually been a big struggle for me, and I don't even really have a good answer other than like the coined answers, like because the Bible says so. And how do you asked, how do you keep a clean heart or a
pure heart?
A pure heart serving? And for me, it's more about what I'm doing or not doing at home and in my community. I feel like we've talked about all this before. I feel like I'm really repeating myself. It's hard for me to say this because we've done this
You're doing a great job.
It's okay.
Just keep going.
It's very genuine. This is the first time I've heard you say this.
So it's
Forgiveness.
easy, right? It's easy to go to Miami Correctional Facility in a way because the guests know what they've signed up for. And they know there's some dudes coming in that are going to feed them and sing Jesus songs and maybe like give them some awkward hugs, right? So, but it's harder for me to kind of have that posture at home and in my community. But I got to say, I've had a really good week. So we've been home for a week, and in a way, Kairos has held me accountable because, like, I was super patient with my wife and my kids this week. And
you usually aren't.
Right. Thanks. Right. I'm basically acting like I'm supposed to. How about that? Wow. How about that?
He was a good boy.
Right.
He's been a good boy.
So much revelation here.
My irritability
Can we
is
ask
down.
her that question?
Yeah, you can. I was
Hey,
up.
fact check that.
Right.
Hey, tell me when you fact check that caller now.
My devotional and prayer time was like on point this week. And I'm thinking to myself, like, well, I was a missionary all last weekend. I need to live like it.
Yeah.
Like it would be easy to come home Sunday and just fall into the same trap, do the same pointless routine. But man, like up earlier than I was, doing prayer, not every day, but I had a few good days that I went the extra mile just with prayer and devotions, and was just more patient with the kids, like I said. But Kairos is giving me that accountability because I don't, people, if you live in this town, you've probably seen me drunk before somewhere around town. Like people are thinking like this knucklehead, like he's a missionary in prison, right? Like, I mean, I'm struggling. I got struggles. Sure. And I want people to know, like I'm fighting the good fight. Don't think I'm anybody special because I went down to Miami Correctional Facility. Like,
not special people for sure.
Definitely not. So, for me, it's easier to go down there. We need to do better around here.
Well, you just took the words right out of my mouth. Like we've been here before. No, I think that it is easy to, as a pastor. It's easy for me to come in here and preach this message, this glorified Bible message to people in here because everyone who comes in here normally knows what they signed up for, like you said, right?
Right.
Like they kind of expect me to come in here and preach.
That's why they're here.
They preach the paint off these walls and preach it white boy and preach my guts out, and they expect that. But it is so difficult to take the same boldness, the same level of passion to the streets and sidewalk of my own community.
Right.
And the crazy thing is people already know we love Jesus.
Right.
But like, why do we shy away from having those conversations, holding one another accountable? That's something. I mean, I don't have it figured out. I think I'm learning how to be bold in a way that's palatable for people to actually receive it. Because what I've learned, really, truthfully, is that unless the soil of somebody's heart is conditioned to receive the seeds that you sow, it will fall on wrong ground. It's not going to take. So, but I've learned that how do you condition people's hearts, the soil, you build relationships with them. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes, now you're able to sow seeds into the soil of their heart because then their soil's conditioned because now you have a relationship with them. Right. Instead of beating people over the head with the Bible, build a relationship with them first.
Right. And that's honestly probably that relationship part. That's probably one of the hardest things for me leaving Kairos, leaving for the weekend, because we build this relationship with these guys, these 40 guys, sometimes with our own individual guests that we're hosting, and then we leave. So we're like, hey, you're not alone. Hey, we support you. We'll see you, man. All right, good luck. Right? That was one thing that I really struggled early on with because we build that relationship, like you said. But again, it's not for us to see that fruit. All we got to do is try to plant that seed.
But like I think you guys said, there is like still follow up with these individuals, right? You're not just like letting them go. Like there is some sort of follow up. It may not be you three, and maybe it's other people, right? Some way. If I understand that correctly, am I wrong?
So there's
anybody.
So every Thursday, moving forward, they offer a prayer and share for the guests, and also the team members when we're available. It's kind of a hard time for us to make, I would imagine, most of the time, but it's like at 1:00 on a Thursday,
right.
Which thankfully we do have a lot of team members who are retired gentlemen, so we'll have some we'll have some team members there, and the idea there is we've had the weekend, we're riding up here, let's maintain this and let's take this back to your cell block, share it, just share Jesus, man, whatever that looks like you said, man, like whatever that looks like with that celly, and planting those seeds, right? And planting those seeds and just, moving them along. And maybe next time, maybe this fall, the cellmate's going to be in Kairos.
So the idea, I've heard it stated that they try to get the more hardened criminals in the Kairos program to infiltrate the facility.
Because they have more
influence.
Right.
So I'm talking to the chaplain. I think there's 3 chaplains there too. We saw
at least 2.
And met 2 of the Christian chaplains. They have multiple
denominations,
religion.
I think
chaplains.
technically every chaplain has to represent every religion, and to some degree. Then they may specialize, but.
So I asked the chaplain. I was like, "Yeah, man, you think this is like going to make a difference in this place? Like, is this going to be?" And he's like, with love, he looks at me and he's like, "You ever go to Walmart?" "Yeah, I go to Walmart. I was there today, right? You take Jesus with you?" "Well, I'd like to think so. I'd like to think I'd take
Left
Jesus.
him in aisle 19.
Yeah." He's like, "Did you change Walmart?" I'm like, "Ooh, that's
gotcha.
That's good, right?"
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah,
but I'm not, and
that's
he
not
doesn't
really
want
the
to take
same
away what
either.
we're doing. He's just trying to provide me
Context.
with some perspective.
Sure.
Right. So I just thought that,
And I get it.
really got my wheels turning.
I get it, because we used to do these outreach ministries in the projects of Indy, and the huge projects. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of families living in there. We go in there, blaring music, giving away all the food, bounce house and stuff. We go knocking on doors and to pray with people. And at the end of the day, when you leave there, you're like, did we even make a difference? Did we even make a difference? And I think if you're looking for numerical numbers of some sort to substantiate what you did, I think you're in for the wrong reasons. But just to know that you touched them with the love of Jesus.
For sure.
It's just our job. Like, it's not our job to see maybe so much to see the fruit of seeds sowed outside of your life.
Yeah.
We will see fruit in our own lives, but it's only our job to go sow that seed and water that seed. It's not our job responsibility to see that grow, right?
Sure. Well, yeah.
Like, I'm asking.
No, I think too, we just have to I think there is a responsibility to make sure that how we sow it, there is a way to do that. I think there is a way to sow seed just in the natural. When you farm, there is a way to sow your seed into the ground. You can throw it on there, or you can put it in, but it has to be conditioned to receive that seed. So I think if we can go in there and truly without any motives to just, because we used to go in there, and I can say it from a pastoral standpoint, we'd go in there hoping that maybe 10% of these people that we made contact would put their butts in our seats the following Sunday. And that's the way we would do it. That's the way most pastors do it. It's like, okay, we'll go do this outreach. We'll spend X, Y, and Z amount, $10,000 on this outreach, expecting 10% to receive back from that. And I just think that unless we've actually in there building relationships with individuals, that it's just hard to see that type of fruit without relationships.
I have a
Does
question.
that make sense?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that analogy?
What's that?
I mean, that Walmart analogy.
Oh,
I don't know if I agree with
I'm
that.
not necessarily agreeing or disagreeing with it. It is providing perspective.
I'm not saying what he said. There's no. Sure. Let's kick the door in at Walmart, 40 guys, and go in there and love on everybody, and sing worship music for 72 hours. I mean, it's apples or oranges a little bit there. Right?
He just wanted me to know that, like, these guys aren't heading straight back to the dorm and changing it instantly. That's just the point.
Well,
because I was kind of fired up. I'm like, this place is literally going to be different.
Yeah, I definitely. Well, maybe I didn't think that way, but
So
I mean, like we were saying, you change one. Out of 40 guys, you change one.
it's not going to
That's a win.
change.
That's a win.
It's
That's
not
a
going to
win.
change the way anything I'm doing. I can tell you that.
Well, I mean, there was 2 stabbings this week there, so yeah.
Was it really?
Absolutely.
So what you're saying
Like
is
COs or
No, I think I think inmates.
I didn't know that. I didn't hear that.
But yeah,
that's just the reality of ministry. Like
for sure.
the reality is you're not going to win everybody. It's not really our job to win everybody. I think it's being able to be okay with the tribe that you're in, the circle, the people you come in contact with, and just being okay with ministering to that one, ministering to the 3. I mean, you look at Jesus' life, he had his 1, his 3, his 12, the multitude. That was his life. And what I've realized in ministry too is you want the multitude, but they'll be the first to leave you. Then you have your 12, then you have your 3, then you have your 1. So it's like really the 1 is where it's at for me. It's the 3, the 1, the 3, the 12.
I was thinking that same
You know what I'm saying? So we can get hyper focused on. I think it's great going to like prisons. It's great going to nursing homes. It's great to do that. I think it can be very like hyped up because you feel better about yourself when you do these types of things. I do. We used to do a jail ministry in Indianapolis. Like you feel better. You go to the nursing homes and you just feel better. But I think if you're looking to substantiate your ministry by numbers, I think you're going to miss it because you're going to realize they're never ever going to really be there. But if you can minister to that one person,
well, we're casting nets.
yeah, I mean,
Fishers of men.
Come on.
So I don't know if that made any sense whatsoever. Kind of rambling a little bit.
Did.
We're kind of like
did.
talking, but
Right. I think one thing that I heard one time, and we talked about a little bit on one of our drives there is, about that, seeing that seed grow or whatever, is I heard a stat that, it takes 7 times on average for somebody to hear the gospel to really take. You may be number 1 in that line. You may be number 10 in that line.
Right.
It's not for us to know, but we're one step closer. If we are number 1, then there's a number 2, or if we're number 6, then they're at the number 7 mark. And I think that's basically what my goal is going in is I'm on that number somewhere. I'm just trying to help.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't change inside or outside.
Right.
It's the same message,
Right.
we were able to see some fruits on Sunday. There was this guy, he referred to himself as Mr. Curtis, and he was one of the louder, more boisterous ones. Excellent guy. You could tell he was kind of popular during break time.
Gentleman.
Older, yeah, 61. He had a whole slew of kids, and he's got quite a story to say the least. But during break time, he's making his rounds, and hey, bud, what's up with you? He's going around everywhere. And Thursday night, we do introductions.
yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'm not a Christian. It's important to believe in something. Whether a higher power, whether it's yourself or whatever makes that sun come up every morning.
Yeah,
it's important to believe in that.
He had a saying that he said. I can't remember what it was. Something about the wind and the trees and
yeah. And then on Friday night, he's like, this guy's not a Christian at this point, from what I can tell, but he recognizes that we've all taken time out from our families to be there, and that we've brought food in and we're loving on him. And he appreciated that.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. So, and like he recognizes that. And even though, we're there to give him Jesus, he ain't getting it quite yet.
Yeah.
But he feels the love. And then come fast forward to Sunday, there's a second opportunity for an open mic. And it goes and goes, and a lot of guests share. Believe it or not, a lot of them share. Some of them share 2, 3 different times.
A little much.
But,
Too much.
Mr. Curtis stands up, and he's kind of going on about what makes the sun come up and what blows wind through the trees, and he's like, I'm getting on the team. I think I'm going to get down on this Jesus Christ guy. I'm in. And it was like, I mean, that right there was at that very moment. I was like, it's all worth it, man.
Right.
And but talking about the fruit thing, like it's
Right.
not our job, or we're not going to see the fruit, but we did that day.
Yeah.
And I believe he was sincere, and I hope he's doing good. Like I'm praying for these guys and in those walls, and hopefully he's getting plugged in. And
yeah. Well, before we close it out today, two questions is, do you think that you were changed more than the individuals at the I almost said hospital, at the complex? And the second question is this, and y'all can answer, the experience. What was probably the best experience, and what was the worst part about going there?
Was I changed?
Are you changed more than Bill or whoever?
Right. Probably. I would say, I did. It hit me pretty good, man. It did. It was a very humbling situation. I waited hand and foot on these guys, served them 14 hours a day without question, and just loved on them. And, that was kind of tough. That was hard for a while. There's some pride issues in there, some flesh problems, but seeing God work in all of his glory through the weekend, like I mentioned earlier, watching the walls come down, it was breathtaking. It was really something else.
Well, with that, did it help you realize maybe some walls in your own life?
Oh, for sure. Good question. For sure. Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely, it gives everything perspective, and it has you kind of do a lot of self-examination on just where you're at.
Yeah.
So
You want to talk about those walls?
Oh, that's
go
another
there?
podcast.
How much time do we have left?
Like what wall?
Well, right.
What are the walls?
time
Everybody
do we
wants to
have
know.
Give us an example.
Can you give us an example, please? What are the walls? Like for a 40-year-old man like us, like what are some walls? Like anybody can just chime in. What are some of the walls? Audience, what are some walls that we deal with out there?
Pride.
Forgiveness.
I was gonna say I'll go first. Ego.
Forgiveness. Pride. Yeah. Absolutely.
Nick doesn't have any.
Comparison. Do any of you guys compare yourself to anybody?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I actually had to step away from social media for a second because I found myself drifting down the comparison road. And let me just remind you, it's a dusty road. It's a dusty road.
Paved in darkness.
It's all a freaking lie, man. Because, we all paint the picture we want on social media.
Right.
We want that body. We want that mindset. We want to lead like that. We want to pastor like that. We want to preach like that. We want to sing like that. We want to work like that. We want that car. We want that. We want that. Like, just real life, real talk there. What about you? Where's the wall? What's a wall look like for you?
A wall, pride is a big one. I don't want, if I would just go into these events in church and everywhere I go, just with an open mind, like, I might cry here in the next 10 minutes, and that's okay. Like, why do we fight that back?
So that's an actual thought for you.
For sure.
Yeah. It's just so weird, right? I don't even think about that.
No, like
because you're an open
whether
crier?
Whether it's in worship, do I really worship the way I want?
Do you?
I don't know. Like, it's like,
Do you worship?
If you're in this church, you're going to worship the way Tyler wants you to. I can tell you that. But I think it's great.
What's that? What is that supposed to mean? Timmy, did you hear this?
Shots fired.
Come on,
Shots
everybody,
fired.
put your hands up.
Put your hands
everybody,
up.
come on.
Oh, did you?
I know you don't like it. Pray out loud. Say anything.
Did you not hear what I just said? Raise your hands. Anybody?
But yeah, why? Like, I think it's cool. Like, for me, not to like go down a worship rabbit hole, but we're talking about walls, and it's like I might feel the urge to like want to do something like that, but it's like
Carry the TV.
I was gonna say small TV.
Okay.
Right. My fish was this big.
Right.
like what is that wall?
High five.
And Friday, Thursday and Friday in the prison, I felt a little more reserved. Was it because I was struggling with conversation? I don't know. Maybe I wasn't. Was I not singing the way I should? I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you asked for examples.
I saw you singing Pharaoh. You looked pretty good.
That was Friday. Yeah. It was good.
Okay, so you kind of answered like the experience. What about would you change anything?
What was the worst part?
Worst part, best part.
The food.
Keep going. Talk more about that.
Yeah, so there's a little bit
State
more to
food.
that story,
Yeah,
right?
there
So
is, right.
Prior to this weekend, the Kairos weekends, pre 2020, we would have all of our food cooked by lovely women and probably some men in a church, and then they would shuttle it. And I mean, we're talking brisket, beef tips and rice. I mean,
Bacon cheeseburgers.
yeah, just all the good stuff. And, that's what we're eating. Well, we were able to supplement some food in there for the men, but they were still more or less served their prison food, which is straight trash.
It ain't real.
I'm waiting for what adjective are you gonna go with? How are you gonna describe that food?
Yeah, that stuff is not good. It is not good.
Like, give us an example what the meal was. So we have
every day at 4:00, every day, they get this clear sack, and it's got 2 pieces of bread and like a slice of bologna, mayonnaise, a packet of drink mix, and then 2 pieces of bread, but you don't know there's anything in that bread. You're like, there's 4 pieces of bread in here and 1 piece of bologna. You're like, what am I going to do with this?
Overkill.
Then you peel it back and you're like, they tell you it's peanut butter. Brother, it ain't peanut butter. I like Jif, but I'll eat Peter Pan. That's neither. Like,
that's neither nor, huh?
It was.
Is that like for a reason, you think? They get so crappy there? Maybe they don't want them to experience any type of.
But they're going through
Joy?
the trouble. It's like peas, corn, goulash, cornbread, cakes. It's all there.
So like at lunch, they get a hot meal.
Okay.
And then the hot meal too is, it's like you said, they go through the trouble. It's like they're going out of their way
To make it
bad.
terrible?
To make it bad.
terrible.
Right.
They try to make it bad.
Right, I just didn't know if that's actually intentional.
Right. It's
I
possible.
mean, we brought in Frank's Red Hot, which was awesome. It was Frank's, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was. Frank's Red, big jugs. And I mean, we were putting Frank's on everything.
chocolate chip cookies.
Everything.
Yeah, it was
And-
crazy.
And like they brought out that goulash, and I was like, oh, it tastes like nothing. So I was like, I put a little Frank's on there, and I was like, now it just tastes like Frank's.
No kidding.
I'm eating Frank's for dinner tonight.
so the food was the worst experience.
100%. The best experience was for sure Sunday open mic. I mean, there were some guys during Thursday. There were some guys Thursday that wouldn't even introduce themselves. Mike just passed right by them.
One of them walls.
Come Sunday, it was like, we told, yeah.
Right.
I mean, it was like, come Sunday, it was like, hey, I know we're not supposed to thank you guys, but all the glory to God. But,
Bunch of rusty
and we
tools.
appreciate everybody taking the time out to come here. I mean, like, some guys really stepped out of their shells, and I don't know, it was just neat experience.
Growth.
For sure.
You can see the growth.
There's some growth.
Yeah, for sure. Oh,
Great,
I'm up.
good, bad. What was the first question I asked, though? Do you remember?
Were you changed?
Yeah.
Were you changed more than
there you
everybody
go.
else?
I'm glad you're listening.
I wrote it down.
Let's go.
Well, let me see your notes. Excuse me. For me, I was asked to give the forgiveness talk. So it's a 4-part talk, and that's a really challenge for me because it makes you look inside.
If that was your worst, that was my best. You did a great job, dude.
It was dusty in there, right?
I cried
Sand
like
it
a baby.
over. Well, that's because you are a baby. So
Okay.
Maybe
Now
you
we
cried,
got that
it's okay.
covered. Keep bumpkin.
That's probably the thing that that part of it moved me the most, just because I had to look inside, and really dig into some forgiveness things with my sister, and that kind of thing. The thing that I disliked the most, probably the people I traveled to and from the prison with. That was a really challenge for me.
Jerks.
No, there's nothing really I can say that really was bad. The food, when the guys there are like, you don't want to eat that. You don't eat that. That was probably the biggest challenge. I'll agree. The food was the biggest challenge because it used to be different. You asked why it kind of changed, and there's some political stuff for that. Some people like, oh, these 30 guys get this great meal. These other guys don't get it.
Yeah.
But the thing that moved me the most out of the whole weekend is probably Saturday night. I got to come home, like we said, and my son was still awake. Right before they went to bed, I was just sitting with him on the side of his bed talking. And I was like, you know why I go in here, right, buddy? And he's like, no, not really, Dad. And he's 10 years old, 4th grade, still learning and that kind of stuff. And I said, bud, their sin's just as bad as my sin. Nowhere in the Bible does it say, Jesus only likes these kinds of, or dislikes these kinds of sins, or he only cares
I sure
about
wish he would have.
these
Would have made it a
ones.
lot easier on everybody.
Right.
Just saying. Come on, Jesus. Surely that's worse.
Right.
Surely.
Right.
Surely.
Come on.
Ain't nobody else liking that but me. Like, come on, Jesus. You know that's worse. You know that is, Jesus.
Anyway.
So it just gave me an opportunity to minister to him and just tell him why I was going in there and saying these people, they deserve Jesus' love just as much as I do, just as much as he does, and things like that. They don't get people going to tell them enough and that kind of thing. So it was a good 10-minute conversation just with me and my son about that. So yeah, that was the biggest win for me. Right. Nice.
It's given us a platform,
Right. To talk.
Here
to
we
do
are,
this,
right? We're
to
having
do
this conversation.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, dozens of people in the last week.
No.
You were in prison?
Right.
Well, yeah, let me tell you about that.
Doors open.
Let's talk about that.
Right.
Yeah.
I was changed for sure. We go there to hope change them, and it's always the same thing. Yeah, I was blessed for sure. I don't know the condition of their hearts, never will, but I was changed for sure. And they talk about in these ministries your 4th day. So the 4th day is symbolism for like the rest of your life, right? Mm-hmm. You Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're climbing the mountain, and the idea is to stay there on kind of the spiritual high. And I just want to keep that ball rolling. The world. You come home Sunday night and go to work Monday, and that's the same place you left last Thursday, last Wednesday, whenever, right? Nothing. The only thing that's changed is you. Man, I just want to do gooder. I want to keep this ball rolling. I want to be the best version of myself. The worst part for me was probably my bad attitude. It takes me a few days to warm up. We're talking about walls. Like, why can't I just go in Thursday night, just guns a-blazing, like, hey, buddy guy? Like,
Nick definitely went somewhere Friday
did.
morning.
He was in a bad spot.
Like, I'm reserved.
Right.
It takes me a while to get that pump primed up. Like, why is that?
Why didn't you call him out on it?
Nick's a sensitive soul. You got to tiptoe around Nick.
I don't. Do I tiptoe around you?
We love Nick.
I don't.
We just let him work through it. Well, he'll get there.
Yeah.
He'll get there. He always does.
In his time.
And going through the, like, I look at
Kairos
forgiveness so much more than, so different now. Mm-hmm. I don't want to keep beating this dead horse, man, but
Beat it.
forgiveness, there's a lot there. And maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm not. But
Not you, dude.
I've never heard him overthink anything.
I mean, like we were talking earlier, like I forgave that guy, and I mean it, but it wasn't my family. So I'm just gonna, it's Kairos has caused me to try to. I can't wrap my head around it. Got to wrap my heart around it, right? Mm-hmm. So just to be more intentional with trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
Figure stuff like that out,
And I'm not going to beat the dead horse either, Timmy, on forgiveness.
What are you talking about? I need to know.
But inside, you got to be on the production team to know what we're talking about right now. But I just imagine some of the family members who've been affected by the people you served this weekend.
Yeah. What do they say?
Sitting in one of these.
Yeah, you better
What
have
would
that
they
same
say?
energy.
I just
if it happens to you.
Just
deal.
kind of like just hear me out for a second. I can imagine them. We're sitting in here having this conversation about the individuals you served this past weekend, but then they sit here and they've been affected by the individuals that you served. How that's the elephant in the room is how, and I don't have the answer. I'm not even pleased that's not my heart to try and figure it out. But how do I look them in the eyeballs and say, yeah, I know your child, your baby daughter was molested by this cat, but I forgave him and I served him this weekend.
Right.
You should too.
Right.
I don't
And that's when the mic drops.
I don't have an answer.
I don't either. I would never feel comfortable ever answering that unless I've sat in those shoes. So,
well, by the grace of God, I hope we never have to be put in that position.
yeah.
And forgiveness is forgiveness a verb, kind of like love is? You know, it's ongoing.
Well,
It's always-
it's an adjective in a way that it describes the character of Christ. But it is a verb because the demonstration was him on the cross. He became love. So it is an adjective because it describes the character of Christ. It describes the character of Christ-like followers.
To even take it up a notch.
So
It was said.
But I think it's also something to be said about forgiveness is I can forgive somebody, but that doesn't mean like I don't feel pain. Like that doesn't mean like
Right.
what you did to me still doesn't hurt me. Like
Yeah.
it's like I can forgive you, but that doesn't mean that like it doesn't mean like something's going like this is going to leave my heart. It's just, you know, I'm forgiving you.
It's a
I've never
daily
had,
thing.
I'll be honest, I've never had to forgive like that though.
I don't think
I don't know
have.
what that looks like.
Right.
I don't know what those emotions feel like. I've never had to forgive somebody that I still have so much pain in my body, in my heart about. I have a hole in my heart. I've never had to forgive like that.
Right.
Never.
Do you believe the scripture and what it says about forgiveness? Like, is this
What does it say?
What chapter was that?
Mark 17?
It's second Philippians.
There isn't a Mark 17. I mean, to me, scripture's clear. Like, you're forgiven as much as you forgive.
I'm not blind to the scriptures, and but
Scripture's hard.
But it doesn't dismiss the human fact
The
that
feeling and the emotion, for sure.
I think what we a lot of times, and we'll have to close here, but a lot of times what we try to do is we try to detach the human emotions from it all. And the beautiful part is when you can forgive in spite of the human emotions, when you can still have the character of Christ in spite of your emotions.
Right.
But I don't have, even as a pastor, I sit here before, I've never experienced hurt in that type of way that I've had to forgive and still feel the hole in my heart.
Right.
I don't feel I could not preach a message because I've not lived
For
it.
sure.
Well, we talk about that. Forgiveness may have to be a daily forgiveness for the same thing. Depending on what it is and things like that. You may have to actively, like a verb, forgive daily.
That scares me though. I'm not
It
gonna lie.
does.
Right.
Oh.
But even that's a struggle with me too. Like the whole sin of looking back. God told Lot's wife not to look back, and I don't know if we can compare. I don't know if that's apples.
Yeah,
and
I'd like to
apples
see
or-
your theological persuasion. on that
right, but and that's another struggle. It's like, don't look back. He died on the cross. Like, was that not good enough for you? Like, what's your problem? Like, it's just all like there's a lot there.
There is.
There is a lot there. And I'm not sitting here telling people like somebody did something bad to one of your babies. Like, come on, man, just forgive. Like, I'm not saying that. Don't think we're
We're far from that.
Hopefully
Not
you can
saying
get to
that.
that point and like you talk to God about that. Like you fight that fight. It's a fight worth fighting.
Yeah.
But there's people out there that do that. And that's hard for me to wrap my head around. Who's sitting in like a courtroom and somebody killed their daughter or something like that, and they're like, I forgive that person. I mean, that's a different level of Christian that I hope to get to.
I've told Nick this too, and again we're going to close.
What's the hurry, Tyler? It's getting good.
But I kind of forgot what I was going to say now. Hold on, what was I going to say? Give me 1 second. I was going to say this. I think in those, at least when I read scripture and when tragedy hits of that level, something supernatural, which it cannot be explained in the natural. It's supernatural, supersedes, it transcends all of human emotions. And we see that in scripture, like when Stephen was being stoned, he had the appearance of an angel, something supernatural happened. Only thing that I can say, and this is a total guess of all my understanding of scripture, is that something supernatural, something divine happens when tragedy of that level hits a Christ follower, where we even see it with Jesus. Out of his bowels, he was moved with compassion. It was a divine compassion that transcended. all understanding. So my hope is this, and I pray this, Lord, I pray that when tragedy comes, because none of us are distant from tragedy.
No.
Tragedy can hit anybody
Right
in this
around
room.
the corner.
At any time, right?
Like could be today, today could be our day where tragedy hits. Please, I just can't. But my hope is in the transcendent grace, the grace that transcends all of my fears and my emotions and my pain to continue and forgive. That's the only thing that I can. Even it may sound sloppy, even giving that to you guys. Like I just pray that something divine happens when tragedy comes. That it's a transcending wisdom that comes that we don't understand things. Like it's a transcending wisdom. We can't give an explanation of why this happened, but we have a grace that transcends all emotion. Mm-hmm. That's a lot right there, and I'm still trying to.
Get me out of
I
my
was
way
different.
type of deal.
I was different from Friday to Saturday. When I say peace came upon me Saturday night, I mean it. I'm being sincere about that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I really did. But we're not talking big time tragedy in my life at all. So, yeah.
I wish I had more on that. Maybe I don't though, because if I did have more, that means I've experienced it. And I don't think I really don't want to experience it. I have no desire in my heart to experience tragedy of that level, to understand a transcending peace. I just don't. Right. There is a man in here who has experienced worst case scenario.
The unthinkable. And this man does have a hole in his heart. And if you talk to him, he'll tell you like it's a transcending peace. You can't even understand it, but there's still a hole there. Right. But it's only the grace of God.
Now, one thing we all can agree on is when that day comes, we're going to lean in.
We're going to lean in.
Right.
We pray we'll lean in.
You be mad, talk to him about it. So, yeah.
This got heavy quick. Mm-hmm. Dang. I love you guys.
Yeah. I just hope it does happen that I got guys here to support.
Well, you're going to, well, again, what often happens with people when tragedy hits, isolation. Mm-hmm. They don't want to hear you tell them, well, God needed another angel.
Right.
Or they don't want to hear you say, I'm praying that you have the joy. Well, I don't want the joy. I want to feel the anger. I want to feel, and I think there's space for that. But I don't have anything else to say.
Final thoughts. You go first.
It got heavy.
I appreciate you, bud.
I love you, dude.
Thanks for having us, man.
Glad you're here.
Yeah.
Glad you're here.
Great time.
Appreciate the work you guys did, man. And I know they do too. And I know you don't want pats on the backs. I know, but I'm telling you what, you give honor where honor is due. And
to God, thank you. Appreciate it.
People of ministry, people who minister unto the body, are worthy of the call. They're actually worthy of double honor. So I honor you guys today for obeying the Lord.
He showed up.
And showed out. So just shameless plug for Kairos. If you guys see us and you have questions around town and things like that, there's ways that you can partner with Kairos without actually physically going into the prison. There's different levels of agape. We talked about some of the things that we give the gentlemen, and there's worship teams that go in there and that kind of thing. And there's prayer chains. When we're in there, one of the big things is somebody's praying for us every half an hour. 24 hours. I
love that too.
For the whole 72
and
hours.
They can look on there and it's 7:00 and so and
JD, right. Out of New Orleans, Louisiana, or San Francisco, California is praying for you. I mean, that's just amazing. At 2:00 in the morning, somebody woke up and prayed for these men.
Every break time there was men looking at that.
So that's a way to partner with the ministry without actually having to go into the prison. So outside. Meal tickets, things like that.
Outside.
Oh, and then there's pass. You can talk about it.
There's Kairos outside. So if you are a parent or a loved one of an incarcerated individual,
a female.
You would have to be a female. So they have a weekend like this outside for females. It was talked about earlier. There's a lot of movements like this outside. I've been involved in Brethren Way, Emmaus, a great banquet. So if you're hearing this and this sounds like something you want to do, hit me up. Whether that's, like Greg said, you don't have to go to Miami Correctional Facility to help with, there's a lot of things to do. Right. And if you want to, go up to the woods, Brethren Way of Christ, one of these weekends, hit me up for that. And I just want to encourage people that you don't have to go into prison to be a missionary and do mission like work. I just want to encourage you guys that it starts at home. And I'm sure everybody sitting here would agree on that. We need to do better. So take that into your home, into your work, into your community.
He's preaching real good.
Into your sports.
Please.
Just take that. Take the message. Take Jesus out there.
That's good, man. That's good. Oh, Andy, I was going to tell you, Andy. In October, we're going to go do worship there. You're going to come with me. Right?
Yeah. Andy heard this message. He signed up. Don't even know.
Right? Right, Andy?
That's the Lord's work.
That's what I'm saying. We'll
the Lord's business is my business.
We'll do this. Guys, thanks so much. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. This is Walnut Street Podcast. See you next time.
Love you.